Last recording, I finished the first day, and I finished all of the game that I had previously seen. And so from here on out, this segment and forward, it will be blind. I'll have no knowledge whatsoever about the plot from this point forward. We are playing as a so far faceless player insert character named Makoto, who is studying literature at some university that doesn't even have a name, and sort of fitting with the genre of this game, has a stereotypical literature person internal monologue, somewhat like Shakespeare, which has a lot of thinking about women's legs and breasts and their smell and so on, and landscapes and the light dancing off of the ripples in the water and so on. Which you may notice I have a tendency to want not to read because I don't really want to know what Kutaro Uchikoshi's outlook on this subject matter is. I just want nothing to do with it. But anyway, I said faceless so far. Typically, if the game does not show the face of the player character, then they likely have some sort of mystery surrounding the player character's appearance. So you might see an appearance at some point, and there's a twist that appearance is that of the player character, and that suddenly clears up some confusion in the plot once you realize it. So far, we haven't seen any faces that don't go with anybody except in the opening sequence in which we saw a character with purple hair. Not only is the character's face obscured, but also their head. So there was only one art asset that showed the player character. Not the player character's entire head was out of view. Okay. Yuka is a main girl character. She shows evidence that she knew the player character Makoto in the past, and has intentionally set something up in order to reunite with the main character. And it's very vague about how far back that was. In fact, this is all just me kind of speculating based on why the author would have wrote certain lines in certain scenes. You would think that Yuka knows Makoto from the past. One is that the author made a big deal about how they weren't using, I forgot the name, honorifics with each other, which is an implication that they previously knew each other, as well as Yuka mentioning the two doves that in a cuckoo clock in the past. And how long ago? Well, my best guess would be 10 years, just because that is a figure that Luca threw out there in one line. And if we were to, I guess, assume that was not arbitrary, maybe that wasn't arbitrary, it could have been, then if it weren't arbitrary, it would suggest that they knew each other 10 years ago and somehow Makoto forgot. Up to this point, I'm assuming that Yuka's going to die. Because one, Yuka's just a main female character, and two, because the opening cutscene had this animation that showed shattering glass, and Yuka had a certain pose that represents death. Haruka is a character that basically described herself as nothing. At first, it just sort of seemed like an extreme character archetype. However, later on in the game, she stumbles and falls on the beach. And then while eating dinner, the author goes out of his way to write that Yuka wasn't feeling well and had to go sit aside for a while and then come back. And that plot point goes nowhere. Right? Yuka's just not Yuka. Haruka's just not feeling well, and then there's no consequences of that. at least in the intermediate, which seems to suggest there will be consequences about consequences with it later. Because why would the author write that? Suggesting that Haruka might have a terminal disease, actually, and she anticipates that she's going to die soon, which may give another meaning to why she claimed that nothing matters and that she was nothing. So, Kurumi, 17 years old, would have been 10 years ago. Don't know much about her. This is Kurumi's older sister. Her name's not coming to me right now. Is a kind of a occupant of an Italian restaurant, to which the owners apparently just kind of off shopping in Italy. So it's kind of an odd setup, but that's what the character is. Haruka shows evidence of having some rough relationship between Kurumi and her older sister in the past. However, you could pass that off at this point as just that she just wasn't feeling well. And she thought that she would not be able to hide it if she was inside the cafe, because of something that she may have wanted to hide. Not this one. Doki Doki Literature Club came out in 2017. That game is really silly. I guess I happen to know about it. And this game came out in 2000, so it's much older. I've read it said that DDLC was based off of or inspired by some game I don't know much about called You, Me, and Her Love Story. But there seems to be some parallels here. One is, both these that game and this one, the player character's face is obscured. And Yuka has this kind of similarities to Monica. Haruka has similarities to Yuri. But anyway, let's just continue with this. Go. Okay. Today is pleasantly warm. There is not a single cloud in the clear spring sky. A wind blows in from the sea, bringing in the sweet fragrance of flowers. Again, the main character seems to talk about smells a lot. I don't know if that really means anything. Maybe it's just trying to, it's just part of the portrayal. A white bird playfully glides across the ocean surface. A seagull, or is it a black-tailed gull? Okay, there might be some symbolic cinema trope having to do with seagulls. They mean something when a seagull comes on screen. I don't know. Anyway, there's something that's bothering me. Unlike yesterday, the waves are incredibly huge. Well, that's because there's a... Okay, is it a cyclone or a typhoon or a hurricane? There's a storm coming in. Kurumi's older sister mentioned that the previous day. Even though the weather's good and the wind isn't that strong, the roar of the waves can be heard as they crash against the shore. Yeah, but that's because the storm's offshore. The waves. Haruka mutters just 2 words. Still, those words alone are enough for us to understand what she means. The smooth, bulky curl of the waves rises up and down as if it were the tongue of a sea monster. Well, bring out your board. The sign on Luna Beach's door says, closed. Since Izumi-san, so that's the name of Kurumi's older sister, it's hard to remember for me for some reason, had said yesterday that the shop will be closed tomorrow, we'd been expecting this. It was all part of our plan. So Haruka and Makoto are out alone. That's because we all agreed last night to go to the pool together. Yuka tries to open the front door. Of course it's locked. What should we do? Yuka turns to me for advice. We should probably try the back, as I am in the middle of answering. I'm sorry, I should have unlocked it. Izumi-san cheerfully apologizes. Oh, good morning. Good morning. Well then, Are you all set, Izumi-san? Well, about that. Izumi-san's eyebrows furrow sheepishly. The truth is, I might have to decline. Well, why don't we continue this conversation inside? Please, come in. Have you had breakfast? No, we didn't get around to it yet. Well then, how about I whip something simple up for you all? It's fine, you already treated us to dinner yesterday. Besides, shouldn't the pool have a stand? Okuhiko slouches in disappointment at these words. Well, it's not like I can't sympathize with him. I was also hoping for Izumi-san to make us breakfast. More importantly, let's continue the conversation from earlier. You look rather worried about something. Yes, that's right. Izumi mumbles this. Then over there. Like, I have to wonder, is this the same pool as the one in the hotel? If so, are they going to enter it by a proper means this time? Morning! Kurumi comes onto the terrace sounding like she's forcing herself to recite these words. When I say those words, I'm forcing myself to recite them. She looks as depressed as a rainy afternoon. Is something wrong, Kurumi-chan? Yeah, Kurumi's got a little headache. Usually it's not just a headache. Are you okay? Probably not. You shouldn't go to the pool in this state. Alright, sorry about this. You don't really need to apologize. Anyway, why don't you take a little rest for today? Saki kindly says this. Kurumi gives a small nod while staring at the table. So that's how it is. Huh? I'm sorry for disappointing you, but would you five be alright going alone? You five going alone? Then you're not coming with us, Izumi-san? Right, I have to take care of her. Izumi-san says this as she pats Kurumi's head. I'll be fine. Kurumi will be fine by herself. Go with them, Oni-chan. But... Izumi-san looks troubled. I want to say something, but I don't feel like I have the right to butt in, so I keep my mouth shut. There is a brief moment of silence as the sisters stare at each other. Are you really alright? Kurumi's fine. Kurumi says this very firmly, as if she's forgotten that she's in pain. Well, if she says so, as for Izumi-san... Alright, well then I guess I'll go too. Her face breaks out into a kind smile. But you have to rest, alright? Of course, Izumi-san gives Kurumi one last warning before she leaves. And I always find that pointless because it was Kurumi who volunteered that she had a headache. If I didn't want to do the things that people expected me to do if I was sick, I just would not admit I was sick. The fastest way to get to the... Oh, it is the same one, okay. The Tsukiya Hotel is by crossing Moon Beach. Russian is hard, but this isn't Russian, this is Japanese. Like nomads in a desert, we walk alongside the coast in a straight line. Okuhiko walks at the head of the line, frolicking like a kid for some reason. Tailing him from behind is the ever-cheerful Yuka, who is just as excited as Okuhiko. Behind her are Saki and Izumi-san, who are having a pleasant conversation about something. The girls are a little far ahead of me. At the back of the line is Haruka, who is trudging along slowly with heavy steps. Haruka, what's wrong? I think this as I take a glance at her over my shoulder. Even though Haruka isn't exactly the cheerful type, she looks seriously depressed right now. Could it be that she didn't want to go to the pool after all? I casually slow down and wait for Haruka to catch up, and then, something a little unexpected happens. When Haruka passes by me, she grabs my wrist. No, not out of a romantic gesture. She did so urgently, like she had something to say. Shocked, I turned to face Haruka. I'm trying to ask what's wrong, but for some reason I can't continue. Is it because her strikingly lonely eyes? They shine like a star that's beginning to fade in the morning glow. Kurumi. He quietly says this. Huh? Though I heard her just fine, I instantly ask her to repeat herself. I wonder, is Kurumi okay? Yeah, implying that she knows more about what's wrong with Kurumi than the other characters would think there is to know. She mutters this sorrowfully as her grip around my wrist tightens. She's that worried about Kurumi? Since she said she had a headache? Okay. So obviously, if this exact situation were to happen in my life, which doesn't make any sense, then I would actually just say, no, she just has a headache. However, this is a mystery game. And so you'd expect the plot to play out by the rules of that genre. So then it would make sense to actually pick the second option. Oh, okay. That created a chapter break. Interesting. Haruka's words make me kind of uneasy. It's not rare for people to have headaches. Normally, I think I'd probably be able to just shrug off Haruka's concern. However, I was the main character in a mystery game, and so I excuse me. I suddenly remember the bell I found on the beach last night. What if that dream really was a premonition? And what if that girl in that dream was Kurumi? Okay, well, this is not the solution to the mystery, but whatever. Not that I know the answer, it's just I'm so confident I blurted that out. I violently shake my head in order to drive these unpleasant delusions away. I'm probably overthinking this because I'm a little nervous. It was only one or two nightmares. These thoughts still don't make me any less worried. If I go to the pool in this state, I won't be able to stop thinking about this and have fun. Alright, I've got it. My mind is already set. I'll go back and check up on Kurumi once more. Haruka silently looks into my eyes. Then, if she seems okay, I'll also head to the pool afterwards. I'll go with you. No, I'll be fine without you. Just go with the others to the pool. Kurumi might not like it if there's too many of us. For a moment, Haruka seems to be silently pondering my words. Alright, I understand. Before long, she answers and quietly lets go of my wrist. Well, then I'm going. Will you explain this to the others for me? Yes. I give Haruka a reassuring nod and start going back the way I came. As I take several steps, I hear Yuka's voice from far away. I can't make out what she's saying. I guess I should respond. Go ahead without me, I shout at the top of my lungs, but I don't think anyone could hear me despite my volume. The thundering roar of the monstrous ocean drowns out my voice. I return to Luna Beach. I take a roundabout path from the direction of Moon Beach to go to the restaurant. Well, I was thinking of trying that, but just as I approach the establishment, the door opens and someone from inside comes out. Kurumi? Before I can call out to her, Kurumi runs out onto the paved road and turns west. It's almost as if she's chasing after a fugitive or something. Of course, Kurumi doesn't notice me standing by the wall of the shop. So Kurumi was making up stuff? I stare at Kurumi with astonishment. Kurumi, even though she said that she had a headache. Yeah, and then what I noticed more here is that Haruka had some reason to believe something like this was going to happen. So she knew something that we don't have any means of knowing how she knew. Follow Kurumi. Okay, so we had a chance to bail out of this route. And I passed it up. Okay, I instantly chase after Kurumi. The distance between me and Kurumi is almost 100 meters. If I shout, she might be able to hear me. But I don't try to, because I want to know where she's going. Right? I want to know the answer to this mystery. If she's able to run this fast, then she probably lied about having a headache. Then what was her real reason for not wanting to go to the pool that would make her stoop to lying? I don't know, but for now there's no doubting the fact that Kurumi has a secret that she's not telling us. I won't be able to discover her secret if I try talking to her now. This doesn't feel very good.
I know I shouldn't just go peeking at people's secrets. Still, my curiosity is getting the better of me. Before long, Kurumi slows down to a walking pace. Of course, she's exhausted. She's been running non-stop since leaving Luna Beach. Even though I have more stamina, I also can't help but pant. Like this, I'm able to maintain a fixed distance between me and Kurumi, so I continue to tail her. I feel like a petty detective. Without warning, Kurumi suddenly turns left onto a side street and disappears. I lose sight of her, so I also jog over to that side road. I see a long row of cherry blossom trees. To think there'd be a cherry blossoms blooming here. Again, that might mean something, I don't know. This is an unexpected surprise, but now isn't the time to be watching the cherry blossoms. Because I ran to the side road, I am too close to Kurumi. She's walking underneath a nearby tree. Suddenly, as if she heard my footsteps, Kurumi draws to a halt and starts turning. Before she can turn around, I quickly hide behind a nearby tree. While hiding behind the back of the trunk of the tree, should I really be doing this? I ponder this. But I've come this far already, I can't go back now. Well, it's not that I can't go back, but I really want to figure out what's Kurumi's secret. Got a little flimmed up there. Drawing strength from my newfound determination, I resume the pursuit. Past the cherry blossom trees, I come across a park with a great view. At the entrance of the park is a sign with the words Viewpoint Park written on it, because I have no creativity. Right now, Kurumi is leaning on one of the handrails on the side of the park and gazing out beyond the vast ocean. For some reason, looking at that lonely figure of hers is making me feel sharp pain in my heart. The sea breeze rustles her hair. Her large eyes become transparent as the blue sea is reflected off of them. What could Kurumi be looking at beyond the silvery sea? The spring sky before me looks like it's happily embracing the world. The endless azure sea looks like it goes on out forever. Kurumi stands alone in that magnificent scenery, looking very small, frail, and transient.
Okay, so Kurumi's looking out into the sea. Haruka made somewhat of a deal about the waves. So Haruka and Kurumi both know something in common, as well as Haruka having some idea about what Kurumi was going to do. I want to run up to her from behind and embrace her tightly to take away all of her sorrow. Well, I don't think a random 20-year-old man running up to you and grabbing you and squeezing is going to make you take away all of your sorrow. It's going to make you feel like really awkward. But anyway, is this Kurumi's secret? The reason what reason did she have that made her lie to us so she can come here? There's no way I can call out to her. Is it possible that I saw something that I shouldn't have seen? That the normally cheerful girl has secret feelings deep down that she won't tell anyone? Yes. Ah! Why, you definitely went to the pool, didn't you? Then I wasn't paying attention. When I wasn't paying attention, Kurumi had turned around. I was absolutely dumbfounded by seeing Kurumi looking the way she was, that before I knew it, I was standing still staring at her. I completely forgot to hide myself. No, I was a little worried, so I tried going back to Luna Beach, but because you weren't there, I'm lying, since saying something like, "The truth is, I secretly followed you here," wouldn't exactly be the smart thing to say in the situation. Well, it's what I would have said. Like, I wouldn't have made up anything. If I followed somebody and they caught me, I'd be like, "Yeah, I followed you." So you came here looking? Yeah. Now, Makoto's make-believe he knows what Kurumi and Haruka know. An awkward silence hangs around in the air. So now they think we know something. However, you didn't even need to worry at all, huh? Because that was a lie. A lie? Kurumi lied about having a headache. The truth is, Kurumi was a little embarrassed. But keep this a secret, okay? Sorry, I don't really understand what you're saying. That's Kurumi can't say it. She was too embarrassed to wear a swimsuit. Because everyone's are big. Well, Haruka definitely implied that there is more to it than this, so...
You know what she means, Makoto.
くるみだけ子供ちゃんだから。
Could it be that you're actually worried about your figure? That's what she just said.
もうはっきり言わないでよ。
Don't say it so bluntly.
笑うな。
There's no reason for you to worry about that at all, right? After all, it's not just you, right? I think that Haruka's probably flat. Okay.
ないって言うな。
Don't say flat.
だってちゃんと胸ぐらいありますよだ。
Okay, I have a hard time reading this kind of thing, so I'm just gonna like... Whatever. Well, anyway, I don't think it's something you should worry about.
胸ないって言ったって
Even though you just said flat just now, but in your case, even if you aren't flat Stanley, I don't think there's anything to criticize about your figure because you... Oh my
やっ
goodness.
ぱり胸ないと思って。そっかな。うん、わかった。だけど、さっきも言ったけど、このことはみんなにはないし。
Alright then, how about we go back? I start to walk as Kurumi trots over to my side. I glance at Kurumi's face from the side. All traces of loneliness in her expression seem to have disappeared. It's now noon. Kurumi is still worried about her issue, so she's too anxious to go to the pool. Makes no sense. I didn't want to leave Kurumi and go to the pool by myself, so I ended up waiting at Luna Beach until everyone returns. Cooking really does run in the family. Right now I'm eating some carbonara that Kurumi made. Well, that doesn't sound appetizing. Sounds like cancer. I feel like this could rival that meal Azumi-san made yesterday.
ありがとう。
Thank you. Kurumi gives a broad grin as she stuffs her face with pasta. You sisters are such good cooks. So do you take after your mother in that regard?
ママ
Huh? Mama? Yeah, if both of you are so skilled, then I bet your mom's even... Wrong, you're completely wrong. Mama has no sense of taste whatsoever. Huh, really? Well, in the first place, Mama doesn't cook at all that much. Why? Because she's busy with work. Then both of your parents work? Right, actually, they work together.
ママ
Papa and Mama, their relationship at work is doctor and assistant. Huh?
知らないかな。
Have you ever heard of Shigezo Morino? Shigezo Morino. I feel like I've heard that name before. Is this like the big mastermind behind this whole thing? You mean the world famous Dr. Morino who works in the field of genetic engineering? Oh, here we go. Here we go. This is where this happens. Someone's been genetically engineered to be able to see premonitions.
いきなり大声出さない
You don't shout so suddenly. I had to get that out. So in other words, your father and Izumi-san's father is Dr. Morino. Yeah, surprised? Of course. If I'm not mistaken, several decades ago, Dr. Morino participated in the Human Genome Project and was the one who discovered the... Hold on. Kurumi doesn't know those details very well. After all, Papa is Papa, and his daughter is his daughter. Oh, I see, but to think that you're Dr. Morino's daughter.
言われるよ。
Think of it this way. Instead of the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, it's instead the apple fell far from the tree. No, that's not what I meant. But even though everyone says Papa's so amazing, at home he's just a normal dad.
わかれば
After getting out of the bath, he loiters around in his underwear without a care.
から
Then when he wakes up in the morning, he isolates himself in the bathroom reading his newspaper.
土日にはずっ
On the weekend, he spends all his time playing with his rodents.
ともっと
Truth is, he's no different from any normal father. I wouldn't know if he's what you'd call normal or not, apart from the whole rodent thing. Is that strange? Well, I guess not. There's already a lot
of people who take care of Roborovsky and oh goodness, like Russian transliterated into Japanese, then transliterated back into English. Whatever. Roborovsky and Jugarian hamsters. Oh, but the ones at home aren't like that. They're that huge. When she says that, Kurumi stretches her arms as wide as she can show me. If what she's saying is true, then the rodents seem to be the same size as Kurumi. Huh? Sorry, let me correct myself. Your dad is weird after all, Kurumi. He genetically engineered hamsters to be huge. Don't say that. Well, either way is fine. Although I don't think Uchikoshi really understands what the Human Genome Project was, right? That was just the sequencing, so they didn't necessarily discover anything besides this nucleotide comes after that nucleotide, right? They just took the 26 chromosomes, and of course they differ from person to person, but there's some sort of average, at least functional genotypes that went into the Human Genome Project. They just I don't know how many variations of each gene are in there, because of course they haven't figured out what exactly constitutes a gene, because the human gene expression is not completely mapped yet, essentially. But they just found what the sequence of nucleotides was for each chromosome, just some nominal average, right? Without really caring so much about what which sequence of codons encode which proteins, and what transcription factors, all that jazz. Anyway, it was very mechanical and not very creative work. Well, either way is fine. If I inquire any further, I fear that I'll hear things that I don't want to hear. Kurumi's father is an expert in genetic engineering. At home, he raises large rodents. Yeah, that's enough for me. So in other words, that means your mother is Dr. Marino's assistant. That's right, that's why Mama has no time to cook. Kurumi thinks the reason why Oni-chan is so good at cooking is probably because she's always cooking in Mama's place. I see. Nevertheless, the carbonara Kurumi made was superb. Kurumi passes the afternoon telling silly stories. So genetic engineering is going to come up later. Okay. There's another piece of the puzzle. When everyone gets back, it's been over 3 hours since lunch ended. Okay. I don't know what happened, but Yuka is laughing loudly like an old lady on a shopping show. Hey Yuka, could you keep it down? Hey, I'm so sorry. Okay, so basically Yuka got drunk. Yuka smashes me on the shoulders as a response. What the hell is wrong with her? I try asking Azumi-san, who's sitting next to me, about Yuka. Just then, it seems she had quite a lot of beer to drink. Azumi-san says this while looking a little disturbed. According to her, Yuka drank about 10 odd cups of beer at the poolside. Yuka's that resistant to alcohol, huh? And to think that Yuka's this bad of a drunkard. I'm kind of amazed. Kurumi-tan, how are you feeling? Good, after Kurumi had a nap, she got completely better. Of course, I'm the only one who knows those words are a lie. I have this completely non-plot relevant secret. I specifically made decisions to figure out this super plot relevant secret that turned out to be not plot relevant at all, unless there's a double meaning. But as promised, I don't say a word about it. Kurumi, pretending to be recovering right now, holds a mug in her right hand with a thin film of hot milk in it. That's good, that's good. Ah! Yuka suddenly leans forward and points to the mug in Kurumi's hand. Specifically, she is pointing to it with her index and middle fingers, even though the sprite chose just the index finger. I have just come up with
amazing. Okay, so the fan translators had to like mess up the English in a similar way than the Japanese that had to. I guess I don't know how many editors this game had to muck up the Japanese writing.
くるみとほっ
What do you get when you cross Kurumi with milk? What?
配分よ
It's a joke, a
く
joke.
るみとほっ
What do you get when you crush Kurumi with milk? Karu milk. Well done, Yuka-san. Really, it's kind of lame. What up, you potty pooper? It's clear that those two are completely alienated in their own world. I pick my ears and look at the ceiling, looking at the lamp for some reason. And then when the long laughter finally ends, Yuka lets out a big sigh and suddenly looks mopey. What's wrong? Well, you see, alcohol's a depressant. That complete 180 of hers is making me uneasy. You don't mean toilet. Now that I think about it, Yuka's face is pretty pale. Okay, she's gonna puke, essentially. You mean the fatty part of tuna?
トロが食べたい
I want to eat Toro.
トロが食べたい
Why so suddenly?
ねえのトロが食べたいの
Ich fein, I want Toro. I just want eat. I surrender to her overwhelming nonsense. Then isn't it fine if we go to the shopping district and buy some?
ダメ
No, wait. That's not good enough. I need some natural fresh Toro. Sure, you can't do that.
じゃあ釣りに行こっか
Well then, should we go fishing? Looks like Yuka's not the only one saying crazy stuff.
釣りに行こうや
Do you want to go fishing for Tora, Yuka-san? You mean go fishing for tuna, right?
そっかならマグロ
Alright, then shall we go fish for tuna? Listen up, Kurumi. It's unfortunate, but we can't go fishing for tuna, right? Alright, let's go fishing. Listen to what people have to say first, Yuka.
マグロ釣りマグロねえじゃあ
Iberawan. Oh, everyone. Let's fish for tuna. She's completely lost it. None of us have anything we need to do in particular, so we all agree with Kurumi and Yuka's proposal. Of course, we're not after tuna, but right now those two noisy girls are holding hands and skipping down Moon Beach. And for some reason, Haruka is with them. Kurumi is holding her hand while Haruka is awkwardly being forced to walk down the beach with a bewildered expression. Those two probably dragged her along. Watching them is kind of fun.
この辺りだと何が釣れるのかな
So what fish can you catch around here, Izumi-san? Izumi cocks her head to the side as she asks Izumi-san. Where's Okuhiko? Let's see, well, there's various types of fish to catch, but everyone here is a beginner. So why don't we go to a place where we can catch some horse mackerels, ordinary mackerels, or sardines? But what about the gear?
港の近
There's a fishing gear shop near the harbor that provides them. We'll just rent a few, since buying fishing rods and reels there is expensive.
で
港の近く
Near the harbor,
ってことは
then does that mean they're not fishing at Moon Beach? Right, it's not that it's so rocky around here that you can't catch anything. It's just that the harbor is safer.
それに
Moreover, it's much easier to fish over there and it's more bountiful. Huh, so you must have been here for a long time to know this much. Well, gossip is one of the tools of my trade. Okay, I see. When Izumi-san finishes talking, she walks over to a parking lot a bit away from Luna Beach. We follow her to find a white, lightweight truck used for business parked over there. It's an old car model that you never see at all these days. There are some sections of chipped paint here and there, and the frame is covered in reddish-brown rust. Okay, so a lot of time and attention is being paid to the description of this vehicle.
ひょっとしてそれに乗ってくつもり
Don't tell me you're going to drive this thing. Saki gives a mildly nervous expression full of shock. Right, it's a little far for walking.
私たち
So are you saying that we'll be riding in the cargo bay of this truck in the back?
たまには
Well, it might be nice to occasionally let loose and live a little. Izumi-san quickly retorts with this. Saki seems to accept Izumi-san's blunt answer. But about the truck, the battery's dead, isn't it? For some reason or other, I asked Izumi-san this. I really don't know why, though. Huh? Izumi-san's expression seems to momentarily tense up. Saki and Okuhiko exchange glances. The roar of the waves breaking against the shore is as loud as the heavy echo of my body's core shaking. That can't be right. I drove this the other day to stock up and it was working perfectly then. While Izumi-san says this, she gets into the car. Huh? No way. Well, this is not the most convincing depiction of the battery being dead. Yes, if the battery's weak, you can have the it turn over but not start. Right? I've encountered this is something that can happen. But usually if you want to depict the battery being dead, you don't have the vehicle turn over. You're not picking up on the sound effects. It actually has sound effects of it turning over. How did you know, Makoto-kun? First the rice yesterday, then the earthquake, and then today this. Could it be related to what you said yesterday? I would dodge the question. Dodge question. No, I don't think it's like that at all. I'm dodging the question. Otherwise, it'll just be like yesterday. No one will believe me if I say I had a premonition. I don't want to experience the unpleasant feeling of being like a falsely accused suspect ever again. After all, this thing doesn't look like it's been very well maintained. Oh, just by taking one look at it, I figured there's no way this thing will move. Izumi looks at me with a doubtful expression. Hey, it's just another coincidence, you know? Coincidence, you say? Come on, this doesn't matter, does it? But anyway, it looks like we're walking. If we don't hurry up, we might not have any time to go fishing, right? The takeaway from this is, make sure you have a battery charger. Thankfully, Okuhiko smoothly changes the conversation, which ironically I don't have right now, but I'm going to buy one in the next couple days. Though now that he mentions it, the only way to the harbor is by walking. Right now, if we keep slouching around, the sun will go down. Trying to avoid Izumi-san's gaze as much as possible, I back up Okuhiko. But Makoto-kun. As I turn my back, Izumi-san says this in a way that says I don't understand this at all. But I pretend to not hear her and quicken my pace. Besides, the one who doesn't understand the most is myself. Why did the words, "the battery's dead, isn't it," come out of my mouth? Somehow, it felt like it wasn't me who said it. I'm shrouded by this irritation, uncomfortable sensation. For a short while, I walk through the tranquil rural landscape. The chirping of songbirds and the sight of green plants is calming, a contrast to my chaotic state of mind. Suddenly, I realize that someone's trying to catch up with me. I don't even need to look over my shoulder to tell that it's Izumi-san. Okay, so the previous few lines of dialogue were all wasted. Everyone else has already passed me and are walking in front of me. So to avoid Izumi-san's questioning, I should... Drunk girl. So that dodge the question seemed to have a propagation of consequence several lines of dialogue later. However, I give up on that. I'm a little too scared to approach her after what happened earlier. If she starts yelling at me again, it would be nigh impossible to run away from her. I think I'll... Wow. Hey, they're doing the fake option thing. DDLC tactics. Okay. I run over to Haruka and Okuhiko, who are walking together a bit ahead of me. As soon as I catch up to them... What is it, Ishihara? Okuhiko glances at me with clear disdain. No, I was just wondering what you two were talking about. In the face of that glare, I give an indifferent answer. Just then, fishy. We were talking about fishing. Surprisingly, Haruka herself answers my question.
そういうこと
Right, that's it. So it has nothing to do with you, Ishihara. Oh, it has nothing to do with me? If I remember correctly, I believe that I am going fishing as
だ
well.
けど石原は
But Ishihara, I thought you didn't want to go. Well, since Yuka is forcing us to go and all, I guess I am coming along unwillingly.
だろうだった
Right, so just get lost, Ishihara.
僕とはるかちゃんは釣りに行く
Haruka-chan and I, however, are in favor of going fishing. We don't need a negative guy like you to kill the mood. You didn't even have a mood in the first place, did you? I feel like saying this, but I'll let it go. I'm just going to ignore him. Anyway, I'm interested in knowing why Haruka is in favor of this. Then I try asking her, why did you want to go fishing? You idiot, you don't understand that either? Okiko looks at me with scorn. Fishing is a game played in real earnest between man and fish. Complicated tactics are needed for this magnificent romantic game. It's kind of...
あの当たりが来た時の快感といったらそりゃもう言葉にできないってぐらいに
You had to talk about the pleasant... Okay. If you had to talk about the pleasant feeling you get at the moment your target arrives, it is something words cannot convey. Actually, it's like panic. It's like you have to grab the fish or net the fish, and after you net the fish, you have to grab it because you gotta take the hook out. And it's all flappy.
触れたいから
Because I want to feel one. Haruka suddenly mutters this.
魚に触れたい
Because I want to feel a fish.
Well, you're not missing much.
そういうこと
Alright, that's it. In short, that is exactly what we want to do.
生きた魚に
I want to try feeling a living fish.
わかるわかる
Suck all the life out of it.
自然との触れ合い
Yes, yes, I understand. In other words, it's that feeling you get when you come into contact with nature. How do I put
生き
it?
た魚の心臓に
I want to try feeling a living fish's heart. When you clean a fish, does it perish with the first cut?
指先でその鼓動を感じたいの
I want to feel its beating with my own fingertips
命の響きを
in order to hear
聞くために
the echo of life. Why don't you just, like, punch somebody? Haruka softly places her palm on her chest. It looks as if she's trying to feel her own heartbeat. Of course, Okuhiko is at a complete loss of words. After that, we all remain completely silent. Finally, we arrive at the shopping district. Our destination is just past the fishing market dead ahead of us. There, Izumi-san gathers all the necessary gear from the local fishing gear shop. Well then, shall we go? Izumi-san begins to take charge as she distributes the gear among us. Everyone obediently starts heading towards the harbor as they curiously play with their reels and hooks. I'm about to take a step forward. Hold on. Izumi-san grabs my forearm. About what happened earlier. We're going to have a long talk about it later, okay? Izumi-san leaves me with those words. Although her tone was kind, there was a piercing light in her pupils. It was a threatening gaze that instinctively leaves me unnerved.
ねえ誠
Hey, Makoto? This is subtitle Yuka's premonition. Several minutes later, someone else restrains my upper arm. I turn around and see. Crap. Why her of all people? Hey, it'll be nice if we catch a lot of tuna. With a strangely shrill voice, I go to shake Yuka's hand off me.
マグロ
Tuna?
これ
What the hell are you saying? Yuka narrows her eyebrows. I notice that all traces of her previously flushed face have vanished. If anything, she just looks kind of pale. It seems that she's finally sobered up.
そんなことよ
But more importantly, her grip around my arm grows
や
tighter.
っぱり釣り
Maybe we shouldn't go fishing after all. Why are you saying this
なんか
now?
こう
For some reason, I have a bad feeling about this.
とても
A very bad feeling. The hell are you saying? Weren't you the one who said I want to eat fresh toro in the first place?
知ってるよ
I know that, I know, but... Are you going to say it's because I was drunk when I said that? No, that's not it at all. Well, either way, we're not going to change plans now just because you want to. Everyone else is quite pumped up for this. With my fishing rod, I point to the others who are far ahead of us. But... Before she can say anymore, Yuka stops herself from speaking. She hangs her head defeated. What kind of bad feeling is it anyway? I ask her this. I can't put it clearly into words, but it's vague. Just a sense of anxiety. Anxiety? For example, let's see. It's like seeing someone standing on a pile of books, trying to reach something off a high shelf. Wouldn't you feel anxious if you saw that happening? I get what you're trying to say, but fishing isn't something you can really compare to standing on a pile of books.
もう全然
You don't get it at all. I get it, I get it. I really don't get it, but I can't think of anything else to say. I give her a nod while gently prying her hand off of me. I give her a light push which causes her to pick up her reluctant march to the harbor. The fragrant stench of the sullen tides overwhelm us, and those of us who are fishing have spread out on the pier. It's a rather peaceful scene. Yuka is standing on the pier, twisting her fishing line around and around her finger. She still looks very anxious. A bad feeling, huh? Yuka, can I talk to you for a second? What? About what you said earlier, was that a premonition? Yuka's expression warps. As I am about to continue speaking, we suddenly hear the echo of Saki's voice. Yuka and I turn around. On top of the pier, we see Saki in the middle of shaking Haruka off. However, Haruka refuses to budge and tries to block her path. We can't hear what they're saying. However, I've never seen Haruka so angry before. Saki shakes her head in what appears to be astonishment as Haruka forces her to move back. Saki then runs to the tip of the pier. Okuhiko begins to run towards Haruka, who's as still as a statue.
したんだろう
I wonder what's wrong. Yeah, let's go see. Then, just as we're about to run towards them, Haruka pushes Saki off. Saki screams at the same time as the booming roar of a wave breaks out. What a monstrous wave. The unbelievably large wave strikes the pier with a large sheet of water. As it strikes, the wave devours Saki and drags her into the ocean. I'm frozen in place. This incredibly sudden event has snatched away my sense of reality. It feels like I'm watching a scene from a movie. Well, that movie hadn't come out yet when this game, so I guess that was a premonition. Just then, Izumi-san runs and dives into the ocean off the tip of the pier. Izumi-san, that's suicide. No, it's not, it's just the ocean. I grab Yuka by the hand and we runs towards the tip. That's what I call incorrect verb conjugation. By the time we reach it, Saki and Izumi-san are nowhere to be seen in the ocean. Okuhiko, Haruka, and Kurumi also come running over. Kurumi's face is completely drained of blood. I'll dive in and save them because it's just water. You can get washing machined by a wave, but you just get washing machined. It's no big deal. Dive into the ocean and save them. That's what I would have done. I just would have dove right in. Who can't swim anymore in the 21st century? I focus on the raging sea. Makoto, you can't be thinking... Yuka is taken aback when she realizes what I'm about to do. Don't, you might drown if you do that. Then what the hell should we do? Are you saying we should just stay here and watch? But, why? Confused by our argument, Haruka asks this. Why are you so desperate, Makoto? Because Saki and Izumi-san might die.
誠まで危険
Even so, you're not the one in danger, right? But we need to save them, you understand, right?
わからない。
I don't understand. Even if it might be useless, I feel the want to save them. That's just empathy. Empathy? Haruka lowers her head, pondering on this. Perhaps she really doesn't understand. Haruka is actually a robot. I'm about to dive into the ocean, but then someone grabs my arm. It's Kurumi.
信じてあげて。
Believe me, Oni-chan. She'll definitely be okay. Kurumi's eyes are brimming with tears. Kurumi, her suffering is far greater than mine right now. Izumi-san is her blood-related sister. Nevertheless, no, for this reason, Kurumi believes in Izumi-san. I understand. I'll trust Izumi-san as well. Once again, I look out at the raging sea. That's why you have to return safely, Izumi-san and Saki. The wave coils into a whirlpool. We're all silent, unmoving. It feels like if we even spoke or moved a little, everything would end. It's as if time itself is frozen. The wave begins to quietly pull back. Gee, another typo. Just then, Izumi-san and Saki's faces emerge. Suddenly, time seems to have moved again as everyone's anxiety is lifted. Izumi-san is the only one swimming frantically, moving her arms across the water. It seems Saki is unconscious. The giant wave surges forward, and Izumi-san rides it, washing up on the banks with Saki's body. The rest of us descend on the bank's edge to join them. Saki's face is completely pale. For some reason, her expression is strikingly beautiful. Your unconsciousness is strikingly beautiful. Perhaps because of that, none of us dare reach out our hands to them, our feet rooted out to the ground. No practical good due to your head being in the clouds. Finally, the soaking wet Izumi-san manages to firmly stand up. Since Okuhiko is closer to Saki, he carries her up the bank.
ちょっと見てて。
Like the mind of a literature major. She's might be dying, but that's so beautiful.
Look about her for a while. Oh, I can't read. That's because I'm not a literature major. Look after her for a while. I'm going to get some help.
くるみも。
Kurumi will too. Kurumi tells Izumi-san. I'm still standing frozen on the beach. It's not just me. Yuka and Haruka are the same.
サキちゃんサキちゃん
Saki-chan. Okuhiko lays Saki down on the bank and slaps Saki's cheeks.
気がついた
Have you come to your senses? Do you know who I am? We frantically rush over towards them. Saki's eyes flutter open and she blankly stares at Okuhiko. I hear the stir of many people approaching us. I hear the stir of many people approaching us. When I turn around, I see Izumi-san is leading them, with Kurumi behind her.
気がついた。さきちゃん。
Has Saki-chan come to her senses? I nod and Izumi-san falls to her knees as she lets out a sigh of relief. Kurumi desperately tries to stop her sister from collapsing. I look back at Saki, who is still firmly staring at Okuhiko. I went to a clinic located just outside the shopping district. It only has one sick room with a piece of wallpaper peeling off here and there. The bed Saki is lying on has springs that creak every time she moves. Though she had no external wounds and was clearly conscious, the doctor examined her just to be safe. There weren't any particularly serious issues, but the doctor wants Saki to stay here just in case. He said it'll only have to be for one night.
でもよかった。
But I'm glad. I didn't know what would happen there for a while. Or you did know, didn't you? It seems humans can't die that easily after all. Well, these are the same thing. I'll pick the thought one, as opposed to the speech one. Did Saki want to die? I try to read Saki's expression. Up until now, I haven't seen any signs of Saki being suicidal. Maybe Saki just seen a premonition of someone else dying. Then those probably aren't her true feelings if that's the case. Anyway, it seems I must thank you. You have my gratitude. Saki says this without making eye contact with anyone.
さき
Saki, you know that's not how you go thanking people. Yuka shouts at Saki, offended by her behavior. It's fine, isn't it? Anyway, it's not that important. Well, that's true, but... That's right. It's not like you were swallowed up by a wave.
サキあなたいい加減に
Saki, cut the... Stop it, Yuka, that's enough. I pacify Yuka. I think I understand Saki's feelings. I like shove a piece of rubber in her face. It's likely that Saki's simply embarrassed. She's just that kind of girl. More importantly, what are we going to do now? It doesn't seem like we can all stay here with Saki-chan the whole time.
そんな必要ないわよ
We don't need to. When Yuka says this, Saki haughtily turns her head away. Man, just what you'd expect from a spoiled rich girl.
とりあえずうちの店
Anyway, why don't we head back to the shop to settle down? As for Saki-chan, I know. Karumi, stay with her.
くるみ
Huh, just Karumi?
たまには
You
人
need to be helpful to others every once in a while. Think of it as atonement for failing to deliver the pizza to Saki-chan.
あーそんなのない
No fair, even though that wasn't Karumi's fault.
のにお姉ちゃんの言うこと
You're not going to listen to your sister?
すぐそうやって
Why'd you have to put it that way? Karumi gets it, jeez. As they leave for Luna Beach, Karumi pouts as she stays in the sick room. Okay, we are not to the end of the day yet. Let's see here. 1 hour. Everyone seems to be at ease on the way back. I guess you could say that the tension in the atmosphere somehow unwinded. I'd expected to say unwound. Oh, it's supposed to be unwinded? It's unwound. Anyway, everybody seems to be relieved that everything turned out alright. The fiery red sunset is also probably contributing to the calm, feel-good mood. However, I'm probably the only one still anxious. It's because of Yuka's words from before we arrived at the harbor. I have a bad feeling about this. She was right. Looking back on it, I regret that I didn't listen to what Yuka said at that time. As I walk down the road, I look over my shoulder. Right now, Yuka is happily smiling while engrossed in a conversation with Izumi-san, who is walking by her side. A bad feeling, huh? My mind becomes foggy, as if it enveloped in a thick mist. When we all return to Luna Beach, we casually relax on the open terrace and continue to chat. We mainly talk about what we were all thinking and doing when Saki was swallowed by that monstrous wave, and praising Izumi-san for her heroic act of diving into the ocean and saving her. Izumi-san is unaware of all the compliments she's receiving since she's alone in the kitchen using whatever food she has to prepare us dinner. We're all ecstatic to eat her wonderful cooking again. In 10 years, it wouldn't surprise me if Izumi-san becomes a world-renowned chef. Aren't you supposed to pay for these things? After dinner, we all go down to Moon Beach and sit down in a circle. We don't really have a reason for doing so. It's just that the moon is so blue tonight.
ねえ泉さん
Hey, Izumi-san, what's on the tip of that cape? Yuka points toward the southeast to illustrate her question. Following her finger, I see a cliff protruding out into the ocean, where a white light is revolving around the tip. Oh, that's...
あんなの誰がどう見たって
Anyone can tell that it's obviously a lighthouse, right, Izumi-san?
決まってるかどうか
I wouldn't say whether it's obvious or not, but you're right, that's a lighthouse.
壮大な下には
Under the lighthouse is Viewpoint Park. It's said that the scenery from there is the greatest. Oh, I see, so that's Viewpoint Park. This may come up later. If you look from Moon Beach, you can see the park. Suddenly, the image of Karumi from this morning, staring at the sea from the tip of the cape with a lonely expression, vaguely floats into my mind.
恋の岬で思い
Express your feelings on the cape of affection and carry out those feelings at the cove of love.
なんです
Huh,
か
what's that?
この辺の
It's an old tradition on this island. So Karumi was actually...
あの灯台の下で好きな
If a man and woman confess their feelings for each other under that lighthouse, it's said that their affection will bear fruit. Oh.
で
And then in order to complete their love, they go to the nearby cove. In other words, it's at Princess Beach where their love will bear fruit.
今度は愛を
Their love will bear fruit?
そう
Right, originally Princess Beach,
姫ヶ浜の名前の由来は
Himigahama.
寝言をする浜っていうところにあるみたいで
Himigoto so Suahama, the beach of secrets. Secrets? Right, secrets. As she says this, Azumi-san furiously blushes.
もうはるか
Geez, Haruka-chan, I can't go that far in depth. Haruka tilts her head
だけ
questioningly.
ど泉さん
But Izumi-san, from what I've seen of the map, I thought I saw another cave that's near here. Huh? Yes, are you talking about that cave that's a bit to the west from the viewpoint peak?
あそうそうその店
Right, that's it.
ね僕はなんとなく思ったんだ
And you know what? I was thinking that if there's a Cape of Affection, then perhaps there's something special about that one as well. It's the Cape of Hate? Why do you think that? You don't know? On the map is a marker of a shrine's archway on the tip of that
つま
cove.
りさ
In other words, there's a shrine there. Isn't that right, Izumi-san? Yes? It's just me, or does Izumi-san sound very uneasy?
僕はむしろ東大に
I was thinking that if you confessed in front of the shrine instead of at the lighthouse, it would be as though you are receiving great divine blessings. I see. Everyone's eyes are all turned towards Izumi-san. Is that true? We all wait for that answer. Soon enough. No. Izumi-san shakes her head and continues. Something like that is absolutely impossible, because you see, the truth is it's a place with a dark history that not even the locals will approach. And then Izumi-san, lit by the pale moonlight, begins telling a story in a slow, quiet voice.
あそこ
That shrine, its official name is Shiko no Mori Shrine, but they say long ago it is known as the Grove of Demons, written as Shiko no Mori.
つまりあの神社
In other words, that shrine was built to worship the god of demons, or so they say, which doesn't, well. Izumi-san continues to explain while writing the two different ways of writing Shiko de Moro in the sand.
四季の神
That means the god of demons was literally the fierce god who rules over death. It was a brutal evil god that would curse and kill people,
話によると
according to this story.
昔の人たちは
Back then, people thought that epidemics and disasters were caused by the anger of the demon god, so they would offer living sacrifices in order to appease him.
という昔話
Or so the legend says.
でもな
But you know, a legend is a legend after all, just like the headless horseman is the headless horseman, right?
だから
Of course, I also dismissed it as just a myth or folklore, used to anyway. But then, genetic engineering happened. What, so this is where you all were? Oh, they're gonna, like, conveniently cliffhang this with an interruption. We all turn to find a girl running towards us, kicking up white clouds of sand as she moves across the beach.
くるみ
Karumi? Saki-san said, I'll be fine, so go home already. So Karumi came back. Phew. She lets out a giant sigh and catches her breath. Hey, what are you talking about just now? Why are you all sitting in a circle down here?
もしかして
Could it be that you're performing a UFO summoning ritual? Not quite. It's not UFOs, but it's a ghost story. It's not a ghost story. It's a demon story. Weren't you listening at all?
てるよ
I was listening. Ghosts, demons, what's the difference anyway?
変わりないじゃない
Ghost is, if I were to define it, like not using a dictionary, how I would use it, it's a person a person, but of no dependence upon their body. So you call it just like the person just in themselves, or the soul, but with a negative connotation. Or you could also use it to describe something that does not have a body. And it tends to have somewhat of a negative connotation in modern, like late modern English. Of course, in earlier modern English, it did not have a negative connotation. Like we describe the third person of the Trinity as the Holy Ghost. But anyway, a demon is an angel
that decided, I do not want to serve God anymore. So, yeah, they're completely different in my opinion.
その鬼がどうしたの？
What about those demons?
この近くにね、その鬼
Angels have bodies. Those demons live, although they change form. Those demons live in a nearby temple. It's not a temple, it's a shrine, and whoever said they lived there anyway? Wow, shrine, huh? Izumi-san was telling us a rumor about that shrine just now. Kurumi, you've never heard of that shrine before? Nope, first time Kurumi's ever heard of it. Well then, isn't that exciting? It seems Kurumi loves these kinds of stories, as her eyes light up as she sits down on the sandy beach. Well then, Izumi-san, will you continue? Yes. However, for some reason, Izumi-san doesn't speak. She hangs her head down quietly, just staring firmly at some spot on the beach. Izumi-san? Upon hearing Yuka's coaxing voice, Izumi-san finally breaks out of her stupor and slowly raises her head. Where was I? You're up to the part where you initially thought it was nothing more than a myth. I see, yes, that's right. When I first heard that story, I was also doubtful, but then I heard more from the local fishermen, the old farmer lady, and several other people. I couldn't dismiss it as a simple myth anymore when I learned that in reality several incidences had occurred at that shrine. Everyone, do you know what it means to be spirited away? Spirited away? It's when a person suddenly disappears without warning. Right, nowadays it's called a disappearance or absconding. The truth is, something like spiriting away happens at that shrine. Putting it simply, several people, no, several dozens of people, traveled to that shrine over time and never came back. That's impossible. It isn't, it really happened. No, only was it published in the local papers, but also announced on the national news. Still, countless disappearances have happened over time, again and again. I even confirmed this information with the records at the island's town hall. The people on this island say that this series of spiriting away incidents were from the people being cursed or dragged to hell by the god of demons. Of course, I don't quite share the same beliefs. Even so, ever since that, no one's gone near the Shiko no Mori shrine anymore. The cold night's wind stirs the beach's sands. Every few seconds, the lighthouse's revolving beacon passes through the deep blue darkness. The perpetual continuing sound of the waves still echoes solemnly. Hey guys, after this, do you want to go on a mystery tour? Kurumi's sudden question breaks the silence. Mystery tour? Yep, Kurumi wants to go check out the so-called Shiko no Mori shrine, Shiki no Mori shrine, and see if the rumors are true or not. Well, it sounds kind of fun, doesn't it? Just then. No way, absolutely not. Izumi-san admonishes Kurumi with an unusually serious expression. Huh? Why not? Why not? Weren't you listening, Kurumi? That story I told you just now wasn't a joke. Do you understand that? Kurumi understands, but if we only look at it from a distance, then... See, you don't understand. You don't understand at all. But... No buts. No means no. Alright, do you understand? Boo. Honestly speaking, there's no reason behind Izumi-san being so upset. Regardless, as an outsider, her words have such a threatening, coercive feeling to them that is so terrifying that it makes me tremble with fear. Is the Shiko no Mori shrine really that dangerous? It's a bit hard for me to understand. Well then, good night, Izumi-san, Kurumi-chan. Good night. Please be careful on your way back, okay? Izumi-san's gentle self returns. Kurumi has also stopped whining, and I see no signs of her being in a bad mood. Well then, see you later. Once everyone finishes saying their goodbyes, the two sisters disappear into the shop. Or so I think. Almost forgot. Kurumi comes out again, throwing open the door with all her might. You know what? Kurumi remembered there's something she had to tell you. Saki-san wants to see Oken? Who's Oken? Okuhiko-kun. Huh? By the way, Kurumi has also decided to call Makoto-kun Oni-chan from now on.
お兄ちゃん
Oni-chan?
お兄ちゃんお兄ちゃん
Why do you have to call me Oni-chan? Because Kurumi doesn't have an older brother. So because you don't have an older brother, you just decided to call me Oni-chan? Of course!
お兄ちゃんがいない
A girl who doesn't have a brother could call someone who is like a brother Oni-chan. Someone who is like a brother? Me? Yeah, to Kurumi, Oni-chan is
お兄ちゃんが一
the
番
most big brother-like person she has. Got it? Got it. Before I realize it, I'm following her lead. For some mysterious reason, when she keeps calling me Oni-chan, Oni-chan, it really feels like an older brother. It says I read it. Could this be that so-called power of
いいんだって
suggestion that I've heard about? Geez, none of this really matters. Anyway, now you know, Oken. What do you mean?
さっきの話
Kurumi just told you, Saki-chan wants to see you.
だってさ
Oken, that's what Kurumi means. Huh? Saki-chan wants me? That's right, she wants Oken. We then walk towards the lodge.
おい石原
Hey, Ishihara. What is it?
もちろん君も行く
You'll come with me, right? Where?
決まってるじゃないか
Isn't it obvious?
だよ
To see Saki. Why me? You're the one who was invited. However, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried about Saki. Well, then what should I do? Go. Sure, why not? I guess I'll go with him to the clinic. Besides, I'm a little curious about what happened between her and Haruka. As we begin walking away, Kurumi follows us.
僕
Oken, Kurumi has something good to tell you. What is it, Kurumi-chan?
だね
It seems Saki-san thinks Oken is the one who rescued her from the sea. Huh? Hey, but it was Izumi-san who.
いいのよね
It's fine, forget about her. But if Izumi-san hears about this, she'll get angry.
だからいいんだって
Just forget about Oni-chan, okay?
わかるわかる
It's alright, it's not your fault she left you behind at the clinic even though you didn't want to.
でしょでしょ
Right. See, Oken, do you understand? Oh, drama. Okay, Kurumi nods to herself as she heads back to Luna Beach again. The closed shopping district is cold and deserted, making it feel like a ghost town. I would never have imagined walking alone with Okuhiko in my entire life. Anyway, it's unusual for Okuhiko to invite me along. If he's bringing me a guy along, he must be planning something. Sure enough, Okuhiko starts to talk to me.
石原
Ishihara, before Saki-chan fell into the ocean, did you know she was arguing with Haruka-chan? Yeah, it wasn't like Haruka at
赤
all.
ちゃんが何を言ってた
You want to know what Haruka-chan was saying too, right? Have you tried asking Haruka?
鈍い
You're thick-headed. It's more important to sympathize with her instead of asking directly, right? What by sympathize, you mean you're going to ask Saki, right?
まさか
No way, there's no way I could ask her.
そのために石原
That's what you're here for. I see, so that's what you hay out up his sleeve. As I thought, he's a selfish... Edward, right? Yeah. However, I don't go as far as say to his face. Either way, I just want to check up on Saki. Kurumi was right. Saki completely believes it was Okuhiko who saved her life. She isn't even denying it. He isn't even denying it. On the contrary, he's embracing this. What a despicable Edward.
な石原
Hey Ishihara, isn't that right? What the hell's up with that hey? It's like he thinks we're best friends. However, after I ignore him for the upteenth time, he finally stomps his foot. I get it for... It's clear he wants me to ask about what happened with Haruka. By the way, what were you talking to Haruka about at that time?
あの時
At that time, Haruka-chan, what are you talking about? I tried to ignore the urge to punch Okuhiko in the face. Just before the monstrous wave hit, you were talking with Haruka, right? After that, you ran all the way towards the tip of the pier. Did you hear something from Haruka-chan? No, but I was just a little curious. It was nothing.
and sees that Saki's not in the mood to answer. She doesn't want to talk, then forget it. If you don't want to talk, then I won't force you to do so. Well then, all's well, isn't it? What is it? Why are you looking at me with those eyes? What do you want from me? Bury a friend. It's not like I'm trying to pester you, I just want to know the truth. You weren't your normal self at the pier. I was worried. I was worried for you and Haruka. Saki, get out. Huh? Get out. Get the hell out of here. Saki, what's wrong? Leave right now. Hey, Okuhiko, this was your idea. I defensively raise my voice. At that time, I look at Saki. She's clinging to Okuhiko's arm, leaning on him while trembling as if she's relying on him. I must sound ridiculous right now. There's no way I can do something like have a direct conversation with her like this. Get out. I storm off, leaving the clinic without a word. This whole thing has left a sour taste in my mouth. You will regret this. When I return to the lodge, I take a bath, and once I'm out, I decide to try inviting Haruka to my room so I can directly ask her what happened between her and Saki. I think asking her straight will be the best way. If I tell her what I saw her and Saki arguing at the When I tell her that I saw her and Saki arguing at the pier, then I can settle this right away. What were you talking to Saki about? It's fine if you don't want to tell me. I thought she could teach me how to fish, but she wouldn't teach me. That's not true. I clearly understand that. Even so, the words that came out of my mouth are. Talk about a spoiled rich girl. Even though that's not the problem here. It's fine, because I'm different. How so? Because I have no heart. It's fine if I can't fish. You have no heart? None. She does not have a heart. Just what does that mean? Huh. It usually means you're a robot. Anyway. Because it's basically saying you're the Tin Man, which is a way of implying you're a robot. Haruka seems to be dwelling on something by herself. Haruka has never opened her heart to us. Is it because she really thinks she has no heart? Well then, if that's the case, I'll teach you. Huh? How to fish. You wanted to learn how to fish, right? Haruka nods. Will you really teach me? This time, I'm the one to nod. Now that I think about it, up until now, I've never really tried to learn about Haruka. If she wants to learn how to fish, then I'll give her all the help she needs. I want to get to know her better and start to understand her feelings. I want to understand the depths of the emotions of this girl who says she has no heart. After that, won't it be alright to ask her about Saki? That's what I think. Tomorrow the two of us will go fishing. Right, it's a promise. A promise? That's right, a promise. How can we make something like a promise? Huh? You don't know what will happen tomorrow, right? We'll go tomorrow no matter what happens, that's what we've decided. How can you decide that? That's because I trust you. Trust. And you trust me too. I trust you too. That's right, without mutual trust, a promise means nothing. Mutual trust? Yeah. So then you and I can trust each other? That's right. When tomorrow comes, don't forget this promise. Keep it no matter what happens, alright? Haruka slowly nods. It looks like she wanted to say something, Like this, she'll learn more and more. Slowly but surely, her heart will be born. Even Haruka should be able to realize that. That's what I think. Okay.
And that's it. So I'll save this. Very slow-paced game right now. Okay. And stop recording.